$59.99. Are you out your mind? Seriously, are you out your mind? That's right, guys. I fixed it. Welcome back to 1822 MC Adventures and More. And today I'm going to tell you about how I fixed my old school Coleman one burner stove. So the last time I took this thing camping with me, it disintegrated on me. And luckily, because it's such a good stove, of course it did not self-destruct until I was packing everything up. I had the green gas tank in the ground and I pulled it out of the ground like I normally do, and I went to unscrew it, and the rivets that hold this apparatus to the base popped, all three of them. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. Didn't think much of it. Figured I'd just buy me a new one. So I get home and I look up how much these things cost, and I almost freak out. Even on Amazon, $59.99 was about the best deal I could find on a brand new, in the box, updated, same as this but newer Coleman stove. I was like, $60? You're fucking crazy. So I look at it and I realize the rivets popped, and of course I didn't think to make a how-to video till after I already did it, so I'm going to try to explain in detail so you can understand what I did. It was a very simple operation. So where you see the nuts and the bolts hanging out the bottom of this is where it was riveted, and these rivets lasted a good 30 years, finally popped loose. And so what I did was I took a big screwdriver and I took this screw off, and then I took the stove apart, and each piece I took off, I laid it on the table in the order that it came off, because there's several pieces. You got your screw. Now I added this washer to stabilize it because the housing's a little loose, but it was a screw, one of those little bite washers, this here piece that your cooking utensils will sit on. Then it was this nose cone thing, and then there was a bunch of these like star washer things, and then there was this metal plate. Underneath this metal plate was some like fireproof insulation type stuff, and then on the bottom this here plate where the actual rivets are, right? So this bottom piece here is where the rivet was, and it was riveted to this triangular piece here that bolts onto this. So I take it all apart, I clean up all the pieces, all these thrust washers or whatever you call them. I brushed the rust off them and all that good stuff. The insulation, I kind of cleaned that up a little bit, and I put it all back together, and it now works like a brand new stove. And when I was at the hardware store buying my little stainless steel nuts and bolts and washer, I don't remember the size. As you can see, they're small. Could have been a little shorter, but I'd rather have them a little long than a little short. So I had a bolt, stainless steel, lock washer, and the nut. So then I drill out the existing popped rivet, right? So then I got a hole in the base, and there's a hole in this already from where the rivets popped loose. No, I take that back. The base had the rivet in it that I had to drill out, and this piece here, the bottom of the top, that's the part that came loose, so I didn't have to drill no holes there. So I put it all back together, and it works better now than it ever has since I've owned it, and saved myself 60 bucks. It was 69 cents worth of hardware and probably 20 minutes of my time, and hopefully it'll be good for another 20 or 30 years. As a matter of fact, let's make some coffee. I'll show you how good this thing works. Alrighty guys, so let's make some coffee. What do we need to make Cowboy coffee? Well, you need your freshly fixed stove, you need a coffee pot, you need a small chain that is dangling from your tripod, you need some coffee. Today's coffee is chock full of nuts. Why chock full of nuts? Because this was on sale. That's why. Fuck Joe Biden. You need some water. Something to drink it out of. And a pinch of salt. tripod was really very simple. I just took a piece of cordage, started out with 2 half hitches, wrapped it around a few times, tied it off with a clove hitch. We're done. All right, let's build a tripod real quick. What do you need? You need a piece of string. You need 3 sticks. Depending on what you're cooking and boiling and whatnot, will depend on how big of a stick you need. I recommend a green stick unless you're in the national forest, then use a dead stick. And if you're just making coffee in a 1-quart pot, bush pot, or one-man mess kit, whatever, something the size of your finger should be just fine. So let's do this. Now this is optional. You do not have to whittle it down. That's just something that I do. And I'll start with a couple of half hitches. All right, now this is going to be the quick and easy way, not the Boy Scout way and not the official bushcraft way. This is the 1822 MC way. So now that I have it started, it's just a simple matter of weaving the rope in between it. Finish it off with a clove hitch. And there we go. Now you can hang your pot off of that and you're good to go. That's how you make a tripod. You do not have to actually shave the top of the poles. I just do it because you're sitting around camp, you got nothing else to do, right? This chain here was actually part of the security chain to my Italian rucksack, but I repurposed it and I bent the hook over so it stays open. And I got a carabiner on the other end, so you put it at your desired height, wrap it around there, and you call it good. All right, so let's make some coffee. Nice fresh water. Now I'm going to put a pinch of salt in here. And from what I understand, old timers used to do this. It wasn't necessarily to improve the taste of the coffee. It was because of sometimes water was a little sketchy, and a little pinch of salt in coffee makes it taste great. You might want to try that at home. Don't go crazy. You're not seasoning food, just a little tiny pinch. Alright, that's too much. Alrighty, so let's get this thing going. And as you can see, this thing's burning good since I fixed it. Of course, it'll need a minute to warm up, right? But since I fixed it, it certainly seems to be working a lot better. Okay, so we'll hang the pot. Now, of course, I could just put the pot down on the stove, but hey, this is all about being cool in the woods, right? Alright, so as the water starts warming up, we're going to add some coffee. And I usually put about 1/3 of a cup in this pot right here, which is like 4 of these spoons. Alright, here we go. So, does anybody use this as their regular coffee? No wrong answer, just asking. This was on sale. It was like $5 and small change. Every week up at our local store, they've always got something on sale, and whatever the brand is, unless it's a really nasty brand, I'll buy it and I put it in my When you're sitting at home after a bad storm and you got nothing, no electric, no nothing, you're cooking outside, the brand of coffee doesn't really matter. What matters is you got some coffee. Keep that in mind when it comes to snowstorm supplies, hurricane supplies, fuck you government supplies, all that good stuff. Not to digress into a wild rant or nothing, we're talking about coffee here. So now you got the coffee warming up, and what you do is you sit here and you watch it, and as it starts to boil, you'll turn the water down because you don't want it to fizz all over the top, because it will do that if you're not paying attention. And then after it boils, for me, about 5 minutes, and then that's plenty good. You let it cool off, you pour some water on there, you got the best, smoothest coffee you ever wanted to drink. So let's let this cook for a little while, and I'll be back with you in a minute. Learned a good one the other day, guys. Very easy to be a communist in a free country, but try being free in a fucking communist country. Yeah, put that in your fucking coexist pipe and smoke it. So while we're waiting for this to brew, for all you guys out there that got small channels, what do you think about the constantly changing fuck you, you little peon rules that YouTube keeps throwing out? If you're a casual visitor of YouTube, you wouldn't know nothing about this, but if you're a content creator, trust me, you're constantly being fucked by YouTube. It's actually slave labor. For those of you that see commercials on my videos, trust me, I have no control over that. That's YouTube doing that, and I don't get one thin dime from that. That's right. Right now, I work for a company that fucking hates me, constantly changes the rules, expects me to jump through hoops, and doesn't pay me. Imagine that. Now they're saying, well, if you don't do shorts, your channel's not going to grow. Once it's grown enough to do live chats, and you can beg for money, you want your channel to grow, you'll do that. So they want to make money from you in 3 different ways. 1, ads on your video. 2, through shorts. And 3, by scumbagging a partial of your money that you collect through donations, from what I understand. So how you like that shit? And if you don't do all 3, think of it like this. Last week you were getting paid $30 an hour to make videos. Of course, that's a random number I just pulled out of my butt. That's nowhere close. But now YouTube has changed the rules to where they're saying, all right, so we expect you to create videos, we expect you to create shorts, and we expect you to do live chats and beg for money. And if you don't do all of the above, you won't get paid $30 an hour. If you're only making videos, you get paid $10 an hour. If you're making videos and shorts, we'll pay you $20 an hour. And if you're doing all of the above, we'll pay you the $30 an hour that you were making last week. It's our way of saying, fuck you, we hate your fucking guts, but we need you on the fucking platform so we can make money. And you know what? I'm going to be quiet now. I will be talking more about it later. It's something that's really griping my butt these days. Yeah. Modern day slavery. This fucking country fought a war to end slavery. And yet, here we are in 2023 and we have corporate slavery and no one bats a fucking eye about it. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine that. Ooh, and the wind is picking up. I might have to put my windbreak up. I forget what that old metal tray went to. It either went to a parrot cage or something similar like that. I honestly don't remember, but makes a great windbreak these days. Alright, we're just starting to bubble just a little tiny bit. This is the critical point where if you're not paying attention, it'll boil up and foam all over the place. Believe me, I know. See what I mean? And see, that's exactly what you have to pay attention for. If you're not careful, it'll foam over. Doesn't hurt the coffee none, it just makes a mess. Alrighty guys, and like I said, about 5 to 6 minutes on a good roll and boil like that is plenty strong for me. You could boil it less, you could boil it more. That's your choice. Okay guys, it's about done. Time to turn it off. So we'll turn that off, we'll flip the lid on there, and we'll just let it sit there for a couple of minutes. Then I'll add a little cold water to drop the grinds, and we'll be drinking some of the best coffee you ever wanted to drink. Okay guys, a real quick recap, and I'll take it from the top. Tripod, stove, coffee pot, water, pinch of salt, the right amount of coffee for you. Bring it to a boil, turn the heat down, let it boil 3 to maybe 8-9 minutes tops. Turn it off, let it cool, add a little cool water to it, and enjoy. Alright, so let's add some cool water. Now, and I have heard and seen some of the most ridiculous ways of doing this. It's really very simple. It's not rocket science. You don't do the hokey pokey. You don't sit there and do the angle of the dangle and have it drop a certain amount of feet. That's all bullshit. All you do is pour some cold water down the snout. And that'll help wash out the grinds that boil up into there. And then you pour some cold water in inside the pot. Alright, we'll let that sit for a minute. We're just about ready for some serious coffee. Alrighty guys, here goes nothing. Go. If there was a way I could show you, I'd love to show it to you, but trust me, there is no grinds in this coffee. Oh man, that's so good. You just have no idea. If you've never done it like this before, you just don't know what you're missing out. So, hope you appreciate that. If your stove disintegrates on you, don't panic, you might be able to fix it. And that's how you make coffee, so see you on the next one, guys. Appreciate it. This is Pete from 1822 MC Adventures and More saying, life is short, make the best of it, and fuck Joe Biden.